Buy now, pay later. What is going on in America, bro?
Why is pay in four so addictive?
I literally once financed a bottle of body wash.
Crazy.
You know what? I'm gonna afterpay this. It's gonna make me feel less guilty to pay it in full.
Economy is tough, man. Bro, I know people that are literally making payments on clothes. Like, not even like clothes, like wedding dresses and stuff. No, just like fucking sneakers and like, you know, a nice ass designer shirt. It's fucking stupid.
Of $81 or whatever.
That's like having a black American Express to me. I can use it anywhere, anytime I get ready.
I'm using Klarna to pay for these Chris Brown tickets.
Look at this chart right here. This shows the total non-housing consumer debt in America over the last 10 years. And in 2024, Americans collectively owe more than $5 trillion, which is enough to pay for every NFL, NBA, and MLB team 10 times over. And to make matters worse, we are constantly surrounded by psychological tricks and hidden fees to drive us further and further into debt. The worst of these tricks, the buy now, pay later programs that have been designed to take advantage of young adults.
The dumbest thing ever. Credit card debt, consumer debt, student loan debt. Get rid of all that as quick as possible. I'm telling you, like, yes, I get it. You have one life to live. You want to take that trip to Jamaica when you're 25 years old. Haven't even finished college yet. $10,000 worth of credit card debt. You know, don't be stupid. Just pay off the credit card debt. Pay it off. Pay it off.
You buy $100 pair of shoes and you only have to pay $25 that day, and then the pair of shoes show up at my apartment 3 days later. The shoes are $25. Why do I care if in 2 months I have to pay another $25? I don't know me 2 months from now. She can deal with that.
Buy now, pay later is a short-term financing option that is offered by companies like
Shout out to Grant Rudo for the video, by the way.
Klarna, or Afterpay. You'll typically see these options pop up on e-commerce stores, offering you the ability to buy what you want today while deferring your payment over a certain number of installments. So if you're looking to buy a new suitcase for a trip you have coming up and it's going to cost you $300, instead of paying that all today, you can buy...
Who pays $300 for a suitcase? Like, what the fuck are y'all on, bro?
Suitcase today and then split the $300 across 4 equal interest-free payments. And you might think, great, interest-free. I can just sign up for these payments and then worry about paying it sometime later down the road. But it's not quite that simple. These buy now, pay later programs aren't necessarily groundbreaking financial technology. In fact, buy now, pay later programs are kind of a newer, modernized version of the old school layaway programs that you would see at stores like Kmart and Sears. These layaway programs...
yeah, they're similar to layaway, but layaway was like, they would just kind of hold it for you and you would go in there and make the payments whenever you felt like it. These programs here, it's like credit cards. They're going to get their money regardless. On layaway, I mean, if you stop making your payments, from what I remember, they just put the shit back on the shelf. They don't just dive into your bank account and take your money out.
Place a deposit on an item like a dishwasher, for example. And then the store would reserve that dishwasher for you to collect once you had paid off the dishwasher.
We did that with Sears. The dish, I remember my mom did that on some stuff like a dishwasher and like stuff that I need. But y'all are using this shit for like Chris Brown tickets. Like, stupid motherfucker was going to Chris Brown trying to like make payments on it. Payments on clothes, a purse, a $200 luggage. Bro, I could go to like Walmart and find you a luggage, like a nice one for like $80. May not look as cute, but it's cheap.
Fell off throughout much of the mid-20th century, mainly due to the introduction of credit cards and revolving lines of credit. Instead of using a layaway program and waiting to collect their item, people could just swipe a credit card, get their item today, and then worry about paying off that over the next couple months or years. The only problem is that a credit card will incur interest. People realize that if they didn't pay their credit card down on time, they would end up owing more than they initially spent on the item. So along came the modern marvel that is buy now, pay later, which gave you the best of both worlds. Get your product today, pay it off over a longer period of time, all while doing it interest-free. And that idea began hooking people in.
So it's interest-free. Huh. There's a lot of... It's interest-free. I think it's interest-free to an extent. Because I think I remember hearing somebody talking about that, and they're like, they give you like 4 or 5 months. Like if it's like if it's like Chris Brown tickets, and I guess you agree to do like, because I mean Chris Brown tickets are like $700, they can be almost like $1,500, and they tell you, oh, you just pay $100 a month. I think at the 5th or 6th month, they will start putting interest on these things.
Later has seen some explosive
There's no way it's
growth over the last 5 years, going from $2 billion in transaction volume in 2019 to $24.2 billion in 2021, and it's projected to reach as high as $122 billion in 2025. But
bro, the interest agreements are definitely going to change. I'm pretty sure the terms and agreements is long as fuck, and there's something in there that's saying that they can change that policy soon. Yeah, no interest, that's definitely going to change. Like I said, I think it's like no interest for the first few months. Then you get interest on it.
Wasn't just happening in a vacuum. It's actually part of 3 major cultural shifts that we've been seeing. First is the financialization of everything, meaning we've moved from a completely cash-based society to a society in which we look at even a $5 coffee as an opportunity to finance the transaction. Second, we have the rise of social media-driven consumption. As influencers showcase luxury lifestyle and products, buy now, pay later allows the average consumer the ability to experience those same things without actually incurring the cost today. And third, we have the post-pandemic spending boom, which has consumers using buy now, pay later as a form of revenge spending or buying things they feel like they missed out on during the pandemic.
What the fuck is all these terms? What the fuck is revenge spending? I don't know.
And all of that with a declining financial literacy among most young adults, and you have the perfect storm to make buy now, pay later explode as a new mentality. But why is this even a problem? If they're not charging interest, how can they actually be taking advantage of me as a consumer?
Because they charge interest later. I guarantee you it's not 100% interest free the whole transaction. After a few months, you will get interest on this payment.
First, need to look at the differences between buy now, pay later programs and traditional credit cards. Because on the outside, they're basically the same thing. Both financial devices allow you to buy something today that you might not necessarily be able to afford or be willing to put cash down today for. But a credit card usually involves some sort of approval process, application, review, and a credit report hit. Meanwhile, buy now, pay later programs offer an almost instantaneous approval for your purchase in the moment. Additionally, as we discussed, credit cards can accrue interest if not paid off by the end of the month. And that rate can be at crazy high rates, usually around 19 to 23%. On top of that, if you're late with your payment or you miss a payment, credit card companies can also add on late payment fees that just end up waterfalling you into insane amounts of credit card debt off of fairly simple purchases to begin with. And on the other hand, buy now, pay later offers 0% interest, which sounds great, but that all depends on if you actually pay your payments on time. If you don't, you'll be subject to late payment fees that can range anywhere from $2 to $15 per payment and going all the way up to 25% of the total value of the purchase you made initially. And with all that said, buy now, pay later still might sound like a perfectly good alternative to credit cards, which is exactly what they want you to think. Because buy now, pay later programs weren't necessarily designed to help the consumer like you or me. They were designed for stores and brands that want to sell more through their website or in their stores. After all, that's why brands are willing to pay 2 to 3%.
You know what it is? Essentially, it's like these new brands that make these cheap products or cheap quality product, whatever. It's any type of product. And they're trying to get people to be on a subscription type thing. So if I buy, let's say the idiot girl who financed Chris Brown tickets, let's say if I want to get the top-notch VIP Chris Brown tickets in my city for me and a date, it'd probably be like $5,000-$6,000, right? And then the buy now, pay now is like, oh, you could finance it for like, 4 years, just pay like, fucking $80, $100 something a month, So it's like now I'm on a subscription for this experience that I had for this one night for a couple hours. So for the next 5 years, I'm paying $100 something a month just for this shit. And then by the second, third year, they're going to sneak in interest rates because of the agreement. Like I said, I guarantee you none of this shit is 100% zero interest, especially for these big payments. There's no way.
For their transaction fees to use a buy now, pay later program versus a traditional credit card processor. To give you an example, let's look at a $100 purchase. If you bought a $100 item using a normal credit card on their site, the brand was typically going to incur about a $2.50 charge to process that payment. And on the other hand, if you were to use a buy now, pay later program, that transaction fee that the brand has to pay goes from $2.50 to about $5. But the merchant fees are just the beginning when it comes to buy now, pay later. So let's look at how these companies actually make money beyond just charging charging the
please.
brand that hosts them on their website.
already know
First,
credit
like we
cards
just
make money,
discussed,
but-
they're going to collect that merchant fee, which is anywhere from 4 to 6% of the transaction price. Second, they profit from late fees, like we talked about earlier, which has turned out to be a pretty substantial revenue source for companies like Affirm and Klarna, because 1 in every 3 users of these buy now, pay later programs actually ends up missing a payment at least once. And third, every purchase that is made reveals something about you or your shopping habits, and these companies have realized that that is very valuable.
Selling your data. Because one, a lot of these buy now, pay now things are marketed through social media. I mean, you can go on Instagram. There's like a lot of these up and coming clothing companies. Again, they've already been kind of exposed about their products, but you see these clothing companies on Instagram and they all have Klarna or whatever the fuck it's called. You know what I'm saying? You can finance the clothes. $200 tennis shoes. Like, I understand if they're working boots for your construction job, but fucking designer tennis shoes, fucking $350, $400, $700 for a designer shirt that is a European brand that probably barely fits you, you know, belly sticking all out and shit. It's like, what? The things people do for experiences is beyond me.
For other brands. So they actually harvest a lot of the data from your checkout pages and then sell it to other brands that can then use it in their marketing or in their
the
ad
cycle
work.
just
And finally,
repeats.
they benefit from the sheer volume of loans being opened up by
And
packaging.
they sell it back to the banks. So they get that information, it goes straight back to the banks. Funny how that works. They're like, it's almost like they're both in cahoots with each other. I wouldn't be surprised with that a firm program is actually owned by a major bank, or at least as a partnering company.
And everybody else's debt together and
wild.
selling it to larger financial institutions. They can make money even when you pay on time. In other words, they've created a system where they win no matter what happens to you financially. So now let's look at buying an iPhone for $1,000.
Okay, now the iPhone, let me talk about this, because the iPhone, a lot of people are getting off of iPhones because of some of the points he said earlier in the video. He made about the data, late fees, all that. You know, iPhones give away a lot of your data. You know, when you do these updates, they give away a lot of your information. And also they're overpriced products that are made in like Taiwan and shit like that. Like, the actual cost of making it, manufacturing, is probably, you know, $100 probably flat, and then they resell it to us for like $1,900. And then you have to pay for cloud space. Then you have to pay for all these apps you want to get on it. You know what I mean? Screens are super razor thin. You drop it on carpet, it's cracked. Oh, now you got to get a new phone. You got to pay for Apple Care. These products are way overpriced, but they're marketed so well. Like, the layout of this page is so clean compared to any other phone website. It's almost like, why would you not buy this phone? And the phone works like a charm. It's super, to an extent. I've had this phone for about, 3-4 years. It's small little things I've noticed about it, but for the most part, it's a very efficient phone. It's just way overpriced. You know, the AirDrop component, I do like that. However, it's essentially just an overpriced camera. You know, because these phones, I think they're so expensive because of their camera quality. Because y'all seen these people that be on droids and shit, doing these selfies on Instagram, be all choppy and like, what the fuck, bro? You in 2007? But anyways, man, an iPhone making payments on something like this, I could see that as something you may or may not need. It could be a necessity. For instance, this buy now, pay now thing. I do it for my DJ equipment sometimes. Where I go on this website called Z-Zounds. For you guys that are DJs, check that out. It's 2 Z's, ounds, Z-Zounds. And you can find some top-notch equipment, like brand new equipment, like the Flex 10 came out. You can get it now and make payments on it. And the vetting process is actually very minimal, which it kind of surprised me altogether. You just put a credit card on file and you get the stuff sent to you, which I know if they get the credit card, they could find her information. But still, I've done this before. But it's for stuff that makes me money, not for designer shit or for a fucking Chris Brown concert. That's not going to make me money back. Whenever I did these things for my mixer, I did it for 2 of my turntables and like 3 mixers and a bunch of like other random shit. And I paid it off, no late payments. And all that equipment has made me money back and still doing it. So that's an investment. designer shit, a coffee, Chipotle, that's not a fucking investment.
Reach the checkout page, you have 3 options. Number 1, pay the full $1,000 up front.
Which is what I recommend. Just do that. Do it. Pay it in full. Do it.
It's an easiest way to get out of the checkout.
Pay this expensive ass.
You could use a credit card with the typical 22% APR to purchase the phone. And if you only made the minimum payments, you end up paying about $1,480 over the course of 5 years with 480.
Bro, okay. Oh my God, bro. I'm in the wrong business, bro. I need to start a credit card company. What the fuck? 22%? Oh my God.
Being the interest alone. And option number 3 is you could use Afterpay's 4-payment installment plan where you pay $250 today and then $250 every 2 weeks until the plan is paid. You might as well, bro, if you can bi-weekly. Okay, so bi-weekly payments, that's for most people, I guess, most corporate people, I guess that's every paycheck. Bro, you might as well just wait a couple months, just pay it in full. Oh my God. Which sounds like the best deal to you? You see, brands have mastered psychological manipulation throughout their website, but specifically on the last hurdle, which is the checkout page. And they do this through 4 key tricks. First, they exploit what psychologists call the pain of paying. By splitting the cost over a longer period of time, your brain actually registers less financial pain than paying the full amount.
Not me, second, because I understand money. If you're ignorant, yes, it will work on you.
Called the temporal discounting, which is our tendency to value immediate rewards more than future benefits, or otherwise known as instant gratification. Pay just $25 today and it's yours sounds a lot better than waiting and saving up for it. Third, they will create artificial urgency by simulating limited time offers in the checkout page. And finally, they use colors and shapes to direct your eye exactly where they want you to be looking. Have you ever noticed that the buy now, pay later button is often highlighted in a brighter color and it's sometimes even pre-selected when you reach the checkout page? These aren't accidents. These are specific design decisions to short circuit your brain to making a financial decision more on an impulse than with rational thinking. Instead of thinking about a $100 purchase rationally and over a longer period of time, they'd rather have you just click the pay $25 now and worry about it later on. And again, this isn't necessarily a bad deal because people are always looking for interest-free ways of purchasing things so that their money can go and earn them more money while they're paying off the other thing that they purchased. But to do so requires
that. I mean, no, they don't do that. They're doing this shit with dumb shit. I get the iPhone, maybe that makes sense. Maybe. But like I said, this chick earlier in your video went to a Chris Brown concert. There's no value in that. Unless you were, I mean, if you worked at the concert, you would get in free anyways. You're just attending. Designer shoes. Unless you're modeling that shit to get views on the internet to rack up your account, I don't know, but most y'all just buying that just because y'all want to show it off to these other people in your life. There's no, that's just like waste. It's stupid. You know, they're not investments. You know, you got to really spend the money. If you're going to do this buy now, pay later, do it for stuff that's really going to help you out. Now, if you just, I don't know, because this stuff is geared toward people that just don't have the money like that, but they just want to get this shit, you know, so it's geared toward poor people. I'm just gonna be honest. It's geared toward poor people, and this is what's keeping y'all poor, man. Concert tickets, buying designer shit, always having to take trips to Jamaica or Puerto Rico, DR. It's like, why? Why do you need a vacation? You don't need a vacation. You need to figure out how to get your money up because you don't deserve a vacation. If you have to make payments on the vacation, you do not deserve the vacation.
Financial education
or talk a little bit more about this.
And sadly, most Americans are completely undereducated when it comes to financial literacy. So the instant gratification syndrome kicks in and they buy practically everything with buy now, pay later, with no real concern that they will in fact have to pay that off at some point. All they're worried about is the price that they will pay today, which is exactly how you end up with this.
I've done groceries. I've done all kinds of crap on Affirm and Klarna. But it adds up, and then you are in a chokehold. And in some ways, it is worse than having credit card payments. It's crazy.
Because buy now, pay later is so easy to do, people are starting to use it on more and more occasions where it's really not meant to be used. Instead of just using it on a big purchase like a new fridge or a TV, they're starting to use it on smaller things and truly like financing items that have no business being financed. A crazy story that we recently saw is that Klarna is now on DoorDash, which allows you to finance.
I heard about that. One of my friends, I think he was joking, but he bought a Chipotle burrito and he made 5 payments on an $8 burrito. It was hilarious.
Burrito over 4 payments of $3.75 instead of paying the full $15 up front. Again, not a necessarily terrible thing when looked at in a vacuum, but when you expand this to consider that someone who's financing a burrito is also probably financing a lot of other things, that's when the real problem starts to arise. Bad spending habits like this lead to what we call loan stacking. Pretty much what it sounds like, taking out loan after loan after loan and stacking them on top of each other. And because buy now, pay later programs make it so easy to do so, most consumers don't even realize how much debt they're actually accruing. In fact, in 2022, 63% of buy now, pay later borrowers had more than one loan going at one time. And this is where it gets really scary. Because these programs are designed to offer credit with little to no approval process, it's almost like they're targeting people that don't know how to manage their money. All they see is, I can buy this $1,000 thing for $250 today, and they just click buy. When in reality,
see, like I said with the DJ shit, with stuff that you need for business, they could be targeting people that don't have a means to make it anyways, but I look at it as like an opportunity because I have like gigs that could pay off the shit. I just don't have, like, for instance, I had a mixer that cost it's over here somewhere. It cost like $2,000. I know, like a $2,000 mixer. I didn't have the money at the time. I could probably pay like, $300-400, but I had a big wedding that came up. I had like 3 weddings that same month when I bought that mixer, and I was kind of like calculating the cost of, blah, 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 and I was like, you know what? I was just going to get the mixer and use my old turntables. And I was like, bro, I'm doing 3 weddings. I'm already guaranteed to do these weddings. So I said, let me get the mixer and 2 brand new turntables. It was like $3,500. And I ended up paying it off at the end of all 3 weddings. And the first wedding paid for everything, actually. And the other 2 was added on top. So I ended up buying cases for it and everything through the same program. But it's something that made me money back. I'm not doing it for fucking designer shit or a Chris Brown concert.
59% of buy now, pay later users are already in debt on another credit card. And 28% of buy now, pay later borrowers are between the ages of 18 and 24 years old. Most of these people don't even understand the concept of how a credit card works. And by giving them this buy now, pay later option,
listen, I think we get the point. I'm going to just end it right here. Credit cards, credit system, borrow and lending. It's a very, 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 very easy concept. I think what makes it really complex is the fact that when you have things stack up and you don't have the money to pay them off, I think that's what kind of makes it complex per se. Still, even then, it's very easy to understand. They give you some money because they gave you the big chunk of money. The way they make money, they want a percentage back plus. So if I give you $100 with a 7% interest, I want 107 back. So you need to find a fucking job so you can get that money back to me. Right? And if you miss a late fee, well, I didn't get my money that day from your payment. So now that's an extra $10 for that day. You see what I'm saying? It's not really that hard to understand. But what is really hard to grasp for people is that if you don't have the money, you don't need to impress people. Don't do it. Now, again, if you need a fridge or something that makes sense, don't waste your money on stupid shit. And then also just get a job to help pay off the shit, man. Stop being so humble. Stop falling in these dumb traps. You don't need to take trips all the time. It's stupid. But be safe out there, man, because they're targeting younger and younger people every day, using these young folks. I know I've talked to social media people here in Dallas. There's a lot of them here. And some of these influencers to be on the internet, some of these people, like models and shit, they're very attractive. Some of these companies pay them to be in ads. They let them rent out Lamborghinis, rent out Bentleys, and they take these lavish pictures. They go to a conference and they all share the Lamborghini, taking different videos, talking about a lifestyle, promoting these programs. And they're young and attractive, and they're in your age range, young, and you think you can do it too. So you get on these programs, you try to match that lifestyle. So you take these buy now, pay later programs, you get into credit card debt because you see so many of these younger-ish people having fun, supposedly, what you see on the internet, and you want to match that because you feel like you're missing out. You're not missing out, dude. Just be very careful about your money. $20 can go a long way. I can literally live. I could feed myself for a whole week in this economy today in Texas off of $20 a week, straight up. Not drinking no soda, straight up water. I'll drink water out the sink. I don't give a fuck, bro. You have to be very frugal with your money and with your decisions, because some of y'all really fuck up your shit and have to jump into this credit card stuff because you're having kids, or because you're getting married to women that you don't need to be with, or because you're just doing dumb shit. You know what I mean? So bad decisions and financial illiteracy is the root of all evil, right? Money's not the root of all evil. Financial illiteracy is. Be safe out there, and God bless you guys for real. This is a good video. Give this guy a follow, by the way. His name is Grant Rudall. If I said it, Rudall. I hope I said it correctly, but I'm going to put the link in the description. Go give him a follow and like this video.